Coming up on Duck TV News, where the proceeds from the street fair will be going. Plus, a look at Out Loud, a queer and trans woman performance fest. And a student at UO with the golden ticket. All that and more coming up on Duck TV News. Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Duck TV News. I'm Lauren Rodriguez.
And I'm Bernice Amaya. Here are tonight's stories. A new exhibit at the Jordan Snitzer Museum of Art works from a well-known synagogue architect. Reporter Tucker Connolly has more.
The Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art showcases several exhibitions throughout the year. One of them is of a 20th century architect who designed some of Oregon's most famous landmarks. The exhibition is called Herman Brookman, Visualizing the Sacred.
Organized by the Oregon Jewish Museum and Center for Holocaust Education, the exhibition gives a look into Brookman's architectural process. The New York City-born Brookmans' early projects were residential, such as the Frank Manor House, which is now used as an administrative building for Lewis and Clark College, but his most noteworthy work would come with the Temple Beth Israel in Portland. Brookman practiced in the Northwest until 1967, and even after his death in 1973, he is still renowned for his designs. On display are sketches and blueprints that detail certain elements from the Temple Beth Israel with inspiration drawn from American and European synagogues. Freshman and architecture student Karina Chan shares her thoughts about the exhibition.
I think the drawing that he did is really nice. Like, it's really clean and just simple. I just really like his drawing. Not inspiring in general, but I think it's pretty cool just to see his ideas on the paper. I think religious and buildings work really well because, like, if you walk into church, you will see, like, oh, it's super spacious, you know? And it's just like there's so much light coming in and you would be like, oh, I'm in heaven or something like that. That's really cool.
For Duck TV News, I'm Tucker Conley.
Herman Brookman, Visualizing the Sacred, will be available to view until August 8th.
Moving to another campus museum, the Museum of Natural and Cultural History received the 2018 National Medal for Museum and Library Service, the nation's highest honor given to museums and libraries. The museum was among 10 medalists nationwide and the only West Coast recipient. The honor recognizes libraries and museums that provide programs and services that are making a difference in the lives of individuals, families, and communities. The award will be presented at the U.S. Institute of Peace in Washington, D.C. on May 24th.
Community members came together to celebrate the remodel of Chapman Hall Honors College last Thursday. Robert D. Clark was the president of the university from 1969 to 1975 and a key contributor to the founding of the Honors College. At the event hosted by the UO Alumni Association, the Oregon State Legislature and Friends of the College gathered to enjoy buffet, drinks, and the renovations of the Honors College. Students can now look forward to learning in a new and improved environment. And now we toss it over to Jack and Stacy at the sports desk.
Good evening and welcome to Duck TV Sports. I'm Stacy Cumming.
And I'm Jack Taylor. Let's get you caught up on last week's action from the Diamond while also taking a look at the athletes and activism movement on campus. Oregon softball is back to business as usual, winning its 5th Pac-12 championship over the last 6 seasons. Number 2 ranked Oregon held Cal to a scoreless 2-0 victory on Saturday, sweeping the series and reclaiming the title. Multiple Duck players were awarded Pac-12 accolades following the team's win over the Golden Bears. Megan Kleiss was named First Team Pitcher of the Year, finishing with 200 strikeouts and a 20-5 record to end the regular season. In addition, seniors Jenna Lilly and Gwen Savekis were both named First Team All-Defense. With her 2 hits in the series against Cal, Lilly also earned a team-best 58 hits to close out her regular season game in an Oregon uniform. In total, 10 Ducks ended regular season with Pac-12 honors. The regional selection show was this past Sunday, and Oregon was selected to host the regional play at Jane Sanders Stadium.
The Ducks baseball team looks ahead to their 3-game series against the UCLA Bruins. The team hosted the Utah Utes this past weekend. Pitcher Kenyon Yovan struggled in Game 1, allowing 6 walks to the Utes, but made up for it on the other side of the diamond. In the bottom of the 4th, Yovan hit a 2-run home run, putting the Ducks on top. In Game 2, the Ducks offense was on fire, scoring 11 runs between the 7th and 8th innings, alongside Matt Mercer's impressive pitching, in which he had a career high on the mound, striking out 10 batters. In Game 3 on Sunday, Oregon clinched the sweep, winning the game 4-3. All 4 scores were ran in by senior Kyle Kasser. Oregon will head down to Los Angeles this Friday.
People everywhere look to athletes for their opinions and guidance on social issues that are going on. Here at the University of Oregon, athletes take pride in what they choose to stand up for. Reporter Hope Dalton has the story.
The University of Oregon's Warsaw Sports Marketing Center, alongside the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics, hosted 2 seminars focusing on the perspectives of athletes and business owners when it comes to activism in sports. The first panel, held at Jayqua Academic Center, featured University of Oregon softball infielder Daria Kaboli-Najad, a cross-country and track athlete Mick Stanovsek, and recent football graduate and former Tennessee Titan Johnny Reagan III. The seminar allowed an interactive environment in which the audience asked questions regarding athletes' responsibilities when it comes to their role in activism.
I know the impact that sports and athletics have made in my life, and anytime I can go and give back to communities, I really want to get involved. And I was involved with athlete activism and whatnot, and just being able to be part of the Be Oregon movement.
Later in that day, the second panel was held at Ford Alumni Center, featuring guest speakers from Nike, the ATP World Tour, the Portland Timbers, and top league executives. Audience member Luis Renteria, who attended both seminars, speaks on his expectations of athletes.
A student athlete is also representing the university. NCAA is also involved. So there can be a lot of consequences, with sharing your opinion on social media, with standing up for any cause, right?
They also supported athletes speaking up on issues important to them. However, proceeding with caution is always encouraged when relating back to sports business. From Duck TV Sports, I'm Hope Dalton.
Thanks, Hope. For more information on the Warsaw Sports Business Club and their upcoming events, check them out on orgsync.com.
The men and women's tennis season ended this past week, with the men's team losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament to the number 8th ranked TCU Horned Frogs, and the women's team also losing in the second round to the number 3rd ranked Duke Blue Devils. Senior Cormac Clissold and junior Thomas Laurent struggled against TCU's number 6 duos team, consisting of Guillermo Nunez and Alex Rybakov, falling 6-1. The Ducks lost the match 4-0. The women's team had a hard-fought doubles match, which ended with the advantage point given to Duke. Despite wins from Shweta Sangwan and Peyton Wagner during singles play, the Blue Devils won on the remaining courts, winning the game 4-2. The team season may be over, but senior Alyssa Tobita will be playing in the NCAA singles tournament in North Carolina starting May 23rd. Reporter Mitchell Ribberal has a story about a former Oregon football player who is giving back to the community.
Former Oregon football player Mark Schmidt has taken on a bigger role in the Thurston-Eugene area. Mark was on Oregon's Gang Green defense, playing defensive end from the 1992 to 97 seasons. He started all 4 years at Oregon. After his college career, Schmidt was signed by the Denver Broncos, but after one season with the Broncos, he was released, ending his NFL career. After a couple of years traveling around, Schmidt decided that it was time to return to Oregon, wanting to give back to the community, starting a new career as a defensive line coach for the Thurston Colts. For 16 years, Schmidt tried to give back to the community, helping mentor some of the young athletes in the Thurston area.
I had 7 different kids in that time frame live with us that me and Kara helped. And that was our biggest incentive, is to see these kids grow and develop into the young men that they are now.
While Schmidt was coaching at Thurston, he never forgot about the university that gave so much to him. Schmidt always kept up with Oregon sports and attended as many games as he could. He is also a member of the Order of the O Foundation on campus. Over the last 21 years, Schmidt has been most impressed with how the University of Oregon women's teams have grown and become so successful.
It's been amazing to watch a girl sport be so successful, both in basketball and in softball, is awesome. And I think they're seeing what we saw back in the 90s.
Schmidt looks forward to attending Oregon Athletics for another 21 years. With Duck TV Sports, I'm Mitchell Ribberal.
Thanks, Mitchell. Make sure you keep an eye out for Mark at the next Duck game you go to.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Duck TV Sports.
So, what'd you do for Mother's Day?
Dropped off a bouquet of flowers and a couple of parking tickets.
Well, keep up with all things Oregon sports by checking out our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and webpage.
Have an amazing evening. Now back to Bernice and Lauren at the news desk.
Last Thursday night, Out Loud, a queer and trans women's performance fest, took place in the LLC Performance Hall for students and staff. This year, artist Alok Vaid Manan headlined the event. Manan's performance combined slam poetry with the background musical beat. Nika Safdari, the racial justice coordinator at the UO Women's Center, explains why this event is important for queer and trans women.
There are roles cast for queer and trans people, but not always played by queer and trans people, and this is a chance to support a trans artist.
Portland band Wayside Ghosts also played at the event. Their music incorporates spoken word about LGBTQA3 lives and their personal struggles. The Women's Center made it clear that for the safety of everyone attending the event, no videos or pictures of the audience would be allowed.
Great news for University of Oregon student Saravia Tadapelli. Jennifer Mendez has more.
Saravia Tadapelli is this year's recipient of the Truman Scholarship, a prestigious award that grants students $30,000 to a graduate school of their choice. As a junior, Saravia has time to pick where she will attend in the future, but that doesn't mean there is no pressure.
Yes and no. I don't feel a pressure that, just because Harvard has this big name, I have to go to Harvard or some big school. But I think just by nature of me getting the Truman Scholarship, it would be a lot harder for me to justify going to Lewis and Clark or something.
As one of the 3 recipients chosen to receive this award in the past 26 years, she is honored for her academics, leadership, and interest in public service. It took 4 emails from her advisor to even apply for the scholarship, and even after all the essay writing, Saravia did not expect to receive the award. When her sister got a FaceTime from Saravia out of the blue, however, she immediately knew why.
She said, "Wait, you got the Truman!" And then she started yelling as she ran up the stairs, saying, "Saravia got the Truman! Saravia got the Truman!" And then my parents are saying, "Oh my God, you got the Truman! She got the Truman!" And I didn't say anything yet. I didn't say anything yet, but then they kind of just knew, just because I FaceTimed them.
Saravia, who is currently studying political science and journalism, is interested more in foreign policy. With the help of $30,000, Saravia is currently looking at grad schools that have helped shape future members of Congress and the Supreme Court.
For Saravia, winning the Truman Scholarship is a lot like winning a golden ticket. In relation to her interest in foreign policy, she plans to study abroad in Jordan next fall. Reporting for Duck TV News, I'm Jennifer Mendez.
The ASUO Street Fair returned to the UO campus last week, but the money is going to a different cause this year. This spring, they are donating 50% of proceeds from the fair to a campus food security fund. The Food Security Fund was designed to contribute to a food pantry that will be located on 19th Street, just outside of campus. Amy Shank, ASUO president, has a close connection to the cause.
I'm also hoping it destigmatizes what food insecurity actually means, that we're raising awareness, not, hey, we recognize as a university it's a huge deal, especially in college where things can be really pricey, not only tuition, but so many other factors in your life. And that we're able to kind of break down that stigma of, oh, you're food insecure.
According to a 2017 thesis by Kiara Kashuba, 52% of UO students identified themselves as food insecure. Next year's ASUO slate is focusing on implementing even more solutions to food insecurity.
The street fair isn't the only event tackling food insecurity. Nearly 180 people are once again being fed at the St. John's Episcopal Church. A plumbing incident from 2013 almost shut down the food pantry, but one churchgoer applied and received a grant for $25,000 that rebuilt the Shepherd's Table. If you're running on a low food budget, you might want to stop by the Shepherd's Table, which is open the first and third Saturday of every month from 9 to 12 p.m.
If you stand across the street from the law school and look up, you'll see a nest growing atop the building. With help from donors, the law school has installed a live webcam on top of the nest to see live activity of a pair of osprey that have been taking turns protecting 3 eggs and keeping them warm. To watch the nest activity and get a bird's eye view of the eggs, you can search the word osprey on the UO Law School website. The eggs are expected to hatch by the end of the month. That's all for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in.
Be sure to check out our social media to stay updated with our work at Duck TV News. Have a great night, Eugene.